It's the I Can't Mom Today podcast with Heather, the new mom, and Vera, the seasoned mom. I Can't Mom Today.
Hey, this is Heather and Vera back again with the I Can't Mom Today podcast. This is episode 8, and we are continuing birth stories with my birth story.
Heather's birth story.
Oh, okay. So my whole pregnancy, I was like, I am going to, I was really nervous because I was like, I don't know when I'm supposed to go to the hospital. Like, what am I supposed to do? What does labor feel like? I've never gone through this before. Yeah. I was like, okay, so the whole time I'm thinking, I want my water to break, so I have to go to the hospital, and there's just nothing else I can do about it. There's no questioning like yours, where they were like, go back, you're not ready. I heard that so much that I didn't want it to happen to me. And so it was Labor Day weekend, and over the weekend I was having some contractions here and there, but they weren't painful. And so it was kind of Braxton Hicksy, they weren't consistent.
Braxton Hicksy.
Yeah. It was just random. And so we went through Sunday and Monday doing that. And then Tuesday, Brad had to go to work, and he gets up really early to get to work. And so I traditionally make his coffee in the morning because I'm a good wife and I worked from home. So I woke up and I was like, it was the first night of good solid sleep I had in months, because I had a hip issue, and I was uncomfortable most of the pregnancy during sleep. And so I woke up, I was like, dang, I'm not ready to get up yet. I just want to roll over and go back to sleep. And I'm like, no, Heather, Brad does so much for you. Get up and make that coffee. And so I got up, and he was still in the bathroom getting ready, and I'm waiting for the coffee machine to warm up. And I was like, something doesn't feel right. And so Brad gets out of the bathroom, and I go in there, and then, my water had broke. So they say that, there's like this, I'm going to get graphic. I'm so sorry. So if you don't like graphic, turn this off right now. I'm giving you an opportunity.
Oh man, come on, get graphic.
I don't want to surprise somebody or be like,
okay.
So
you're eating a donut right now, just to maybe stop for a second.
Yeah. So the bloody shell or whatever, and it really isn't that gross. Well, mine wasn't. It wasn't that gross. It was just like, kind of brownish. I was like, this looks weird, and my pants are soaked. And so, it wasn't a lot. It was just like wetter, like when you have your period and you like stand up and you're like,
yeah, there it is.
Yeah. And you're like, you're rushing to the bathroom. That's what it was basically, but it was water. So it was a lot thinner and a lot more of it. And so I told Brad, I was like, hey, I don't think you're going to work today. And so we called the hospital, went there, and they had to test to make sure it was my water. They take this Q-tip, and she was not hitting it right. It was the most painful thing. So like how you were talking about last week with them like having to pop your cervix.
Pop my cervix open. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she was hitting evidently on the outside or on the cervix or something. It was so painful. I'm like, oh, this is hurting. This is so painful. She's like, I don't know. It shouldn't be. I'm like, well, it's really
It
painful.
is.
And she's like, oh, I was on your cervix or something. I was like,
oh, well, hello.
Perfect.
Well, you shouldn't be hitting me there. That's why it shouldn't be painful.
I know. Perfect. And so she got the sample. It was my water broken. So I was admitted, thankfully. So nothing was happening though. Like I wasn't really having contractions that I could feel. They were happening, but they weren't. I couldn't feel them. So I was like, oh man, I am one of these amazing people that doesn't feel pain. And I'm like, this is going to be super easy. And unlike you, I was craving sugar. I craved sugar 24 hours a day. I couldn't get enough of it. And it was one of those things that I was going to die if I didn't have it.
Wow.
Like, that's what it felt like.
Man.
And so, yeah, it wasn't like, and there were very few days.
I was drinking milk and eating spinach, and I had a 32-hour labor. What the hell?
Yeah. Well, mine was technically, it would have been 26 hours.
Okay. So it's
but
pretty long.
There wasn't a lot of pain involved with it in the beginning.
Oh.
Yeah. So we were walking around, and I was like, thinking I'm like all like perfect.
I'm perfect.
Not perfect.
Check me out.
Really, I was thinking I was the exception finally. I was like, finally in my life, I'm the exception. So Brad and
in a good way.
Yeah, no, in like the best way, right? Because labor is not easy. And I had done like hypnobirthing. So try to not to use drugs because I was like, oh, I'm going to make this as peaceful as possible and quick and everything else. And so we did walking break. Baker was 6 days late, so he wasn't quite a month. And we'd walked a mile every day trying to get him out for like weeks. And so we're like, all right, well, let's walk the hospital. And I'm in the hospital gown. I'm wearing like a pad because I was leaking, but it wasn't like gushing. And I could feel it. I guess I had a contraction and that I couldn't feel. And then like I could just feel it like waving down almost. Like it was the weirdest feeling. And I had to push Brad out of the way to get to the bathroom that's in the hallway. We're the furthest away from the actual room that we could be. And this bathroom is disgusting. So I'm like, I had to clean up the floor. I was so gross. And so I was like, we're going back to the room. We're not leaving until this baby comes.
Yeah.
And so we got back. Nothing happened. Nothing was progressing. I was like maybe a centimeter dilated. It was very like nothing. And so they gave me this pill that had to dissolve in my mouth. And that was at like 11. And they were going to give me another one. And that was at 4 because I still did nothing. It was nothing. And so I took a nap for like an hour and I woke up and the pill was still there.
Oh, dear.
So I finally let it dissolve and they're like, oh, there's still nothing going on. The pill should have worked by now. So we're going to give you Pitocin. And I was like, all right, I really didn't want to do this. But then Baker, something was going on with him. So they were like, we need to wait until, to see what happens with him. So then I guess because the pill hadn't dissolved in my mouth, it had dissolved and kickstarted labor at that point. So it went from nothing at like 4 o'clock to intense pain within 2 hours. I was like in the bathroom. I was in the bathtub. I was trying the ball. I was trying everything I could possibly could. The only thing, and I was doing like hypnobirthing, all that kind of stuff. And the only thing that would help was standing up. And I was like, there's no way I can do this. There's no way I can stand up this entire labor. There's just, I can't. And so I was going to try nitrous because they had that available to just kind of get me over the hump of those labor pains. And
they didn't have that 15 years ago. If they did, they didn't offer it to me.
They do now. And it was taking forever. I was like, we're skipping nitrous. Give me the epidural now. And so they have to give you a bag of fluid right before your epidural.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember that. Yeah.
I just said that really weird. Epidural. Anyways, so they like quickly squeezed it in me, called the anesthesiologist, and he came down. And have you ever had a cavity filled or something where they hit a nerve while they're trying to numb you and it like sears?
I've had it happen when they've tried to take blood. Like they hit a nerve and it shoots all the way up your arm and you're like, ah!
But it's like a zing, right?
Yes, it's a zing for sure.
That's what it felt like when he was putting it in. I was like, mother. I was like just cursing.
Yeah.
I was like, mother, God, this is so painful.
I know.
He finished with that and I could feel it on one side. I could feel stuff on one side more than the other. So
weird.
It didn't unilaterally like make me numb, but it didn't made me more comfortable. It did not take away all the pain. I could still feel pain through it, but not a lot. And so I could feel like in the beginning it was great, but I think it started wearing off and I had a button I could push, but they wouldn't let me push it anymore.
No more for you.
Well, they wouldn't let me push it at all. Like I didn't push it any until I started pushing. And so I was also having issues Baker was having issues. So they kept rolling me back and forth every 15 minutes. I had to that poor girl probably threw her back out with Shamu here. And so I was being rolled back and forth. I had oxygen mask on as well. The only time I could take it off is when I was pushing. And so I'm feeling the contractions through most of it. And I don't deal well with contractions or not contractions, with pain medicine. And so my body just doesn't deal well with it. And so I actually should have spoken up because I stopped breathing a few times when I was laying down.
Yeah.
And so I would start to fall asleep and I'd wake up because I stopped breathing, but I didn't tell them because they were rotating me every 15 minutes anyway. They'd find me eventually, right?
Yeah.
But I should have.
They knew where you were.
Yeah. And they were monitoring us. I'll tell you, the most annoying thing was probably the heart rate monitors for Baker.
Oh, with the wires coming out of your hoo-ha?
No, they hit him on my stomach, but
no, mine was through there because it was on his head through my hoo-ha. Yeah.
If they can't get a reading, that's what they do. But no, this is I had the remote ones because they were waterproof because I went into the bath.
Oh, okay.
But it was just a pain. They kept sliding. It was so annoying. So that's something joyous to look forward to. And so probably around 4:00 in the morning. Yeah, I'd say 4:00. I started pushing, and actually Baker had pooped too before. What's
that word again? The
meconium.
Meconium.
Yeah,
when they poop in the womb. Yeah.
Well, it's what they poop. I don't know what it's called. I don't think it's called a thing. Maybe it is. It probably is, but I'm just don't know it.
Meconiumed.
Yeah. Everybody, the normal people know it as pooped before.
That's in case you were wondering, we're not experts.
No, this is my experience. So my doctor, luckily, similar to you, they do rotation. So I was in my doctor's office, had like 13 doctors, and I tried my best to see as many as I could. But luckily my normal doctor, the one I chose, was on call that night. And so at 4:00, they're like, oh my goodness, you're really progressing. I was like, cool, let's get this show on the road. And they're like, we're going to do some practice pushes. I was like, sounds fantastic. Let's go. And they're like, oh, and my midwife, or my not my midwife, my doula. Yeah. But she was there for kind of support and explain things if we were confused. And she basically, we paid her to be there so she could hold my leg, so the hospital didn't have to pay someone to hold my other leg.
Oh, weird.
I mean, not really, but I'm sure she was there, so they put her to work. And yeah, she was great though. I'm glad I had her because I didn't have anybody else there. It was just Brad and I.
You didn't have a party in the room like I did.
No, I didn't. and I didn't want that either. So
yeah, no, everybody's different. Again, that's the thing is I liked having a lot of people around because it's distracting.
Yeah. But totally, but not, and I didn't. I just wanted it to be us. We have a good time together. So, we were listening to my music, and the nurses were amazing. They were so sweet. Oh, I think there was one I didn't care for, but she was just not my personality type. She wasn't mean or anything, but she got transferred to another room. So I was like, yay. And I wrote down all the nurses' names and I sent them all thank you notes.
Aww, you're better than I am.
Yeah, the ones that I interacted with a lot, the people that came in for catch time, like I didn't know their name. So I was pushing for about an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
Every contraction.
I think that they didn't want me to push for that long because, but so I didn't. I mean, like I said, I think it was like, I don't know, between 5 and 10 pushes for me. So good God, an hour and a half.
An hour and a half. No, it wound up being 2.5 total, but an hour and a half in, they're like, you're almost there. You're still, I was like, you have been telling me for an hour and a half. I'm almost there. How much longer?
Seriously.
I was beat at that point. I was so tired. I'd been up for 24 hours. And so they rolled the big giant cart of like supplies in and had extra people in there. So I knew, I was like, all right, this is for real now. But I was feeling pain. And I was like, can I please push this button? They're like, let's just give it a couple more pushes. And I knew that they thought that I was going to forget about it. I did not. I let them think that, but I did not forget about it.
Yeah.
I was like, what are they going to do if I push this button? But I didn't. I was obeying. And so at 6:30, that little nugget of mine came out, and that last push, I didn't do it. I didn't do anything. I half-assed it. Like that doctor basically pulled him because I was like, I'm done. Yeah, I am done. Like I knew his head was already out. I think his shoulders were probably kind of out, but I'm like, you can take him the rest of the way.
Oh wow! See, that's what I mean. Again, I think they were working so hard to get Luke out quickly.
Yeah.
That it was like, and then it was like splat.
Yeah.
Or like, they pulled him out and he was wrapped up in the umbilical cord too. So that was kind of scary. So I think they saw that too. And so they just like tugged him out of there.
Yeah. So. Yeah, no. And he just came out and they plopped him on my chest and I was like, cool. And he's so cute. whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Alien baby.
Uh-huh.
And then, so things that like, I kind of want to make sure that everybody knows what to expect. Like your placenta is going to come out. And like, it's going to be there. Did you how did it feel when your placenta came out? Did you notice it?
I didn't notice anything. All I knew was like, thank God this baby is out. And he didn't cry, which freaked me out at first because like I've said in our previous episode, he came out looking like, what am I doing here? And didn't say anything for a minute, but yeah. So once I knew he was like, I was so much more focused on that. Plus the epidural, probably I couldn't feel anything.
I was feeling all the contractions at that point. I'm sure not quite the amount that it felt like, but every time it started coming, like I could feel it coming up, I would just, oh my God, because I knew they wanted me to push. I was like, oh my God, this is going to, why?
Wow.
So it usually comes out within 30 minutes after birth. And it again, graphic. It feels like a Jell-O mold falling from your vagina.
See, that's what I know you weren't. You're totally right in that you weren't numb because I was numb, so I had no idea any of that was happening.
Yeah, and then it plopped. It made a really loud plopping sound. I'm not even joking. It swear to God, it was a Jell-O mold coming out of my vagina. And they're like, wow, this is a really healthy placenta. Do you want to see it? I was like, I don't know. And no.
You didn't make a smoothie out of it or anything, or a Kardashian?
No, I was like, please get out of my sight. And Brad was like, I think I caught a glimpse of it. It's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, cover that shit up and get it out of here. Nope, pass. I'm not that person. I get very queasy very easy. And I only had second degree tears, so that was nice. And I also used the pop, the little ice packs that they provide to you. But my cue to moms is in the delivery room. They gave me diapers. This lady was like so nice. And like, I think we bonded. Like I really tried to make those nurses your friends, get to know them, talk to them, unless you're like in boom, boom, boom. But I was there. I was, sitting put for a little while. So I got to know all of them. I talked to them. I asked them about their lives because you know what? They are important too. And so I wanted to make sure that they knew I was invested in them and I knew that they were invested in me. And so they were, and girl, let me tell you, they gave me diapers, adult diapers. And I was like, they're like, here's a good thing. I was like, oh my God. Cause I tried the mesh underwear. I hated them.
I tried those too. I hated those too.
The key is to have the adult diapers and still use the pads in them so that you're not replacing adult diapers every time. But, cause you still use the same pad that you would use in the mesh panties or mesh. I hate that word. The mesh undies.
Yeah.
And,
Drills. The drills.
Undies. And yes. So buy adult diapers, just go to the hospital with them because you don't want to have to ask for them. And they don't give them to you post delivery. When you're in like the actual room, they won't give them to you. They don't have them on that side.
Oh, interesting.
At my hospital.
Nugget of information.
Yes. And one key that my friend Heather told me before I had Baker is that they massage your fundus.
Huh?
Did they do that to you?
No.
So the fundus is like the top of the uterus. I think, again, I'm not an expert, but
I have no idea. I don't know. If they did, I didn't know.
Oh, girl, you would know.
Oh, okay.
You would know. So they do it now I don't know if they just missed it, but so for the first 2 hours, I think, and then every like few hours after that, like every 12 hours or 5 hours after that, they come in and they feel the top of your uterus and they start massaging it to try to make your uterus shrink back up.
Oh yeah, they did not do that to me.
Oh my God, it's painful. Like I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And she came in there and she's like, all right, I'm going to massage your fundus now. I'm like,
it's not so fundus.
I know. I was like, it's painful. I hadn't had it done. So she started doing, I go, there's other internal organs in there, right? Because
there's some other stuff around there.
I'm not sure you know that. And yeah, it's super painful and you just got to breathe through it and just let it happen. And so I'll give you that. And then I'm trying to think. So you said you kept your stitches dry, right?
No, I didn't have to keep my stitches dry.
Oh, I thought you said you did.
Well, no, I mean, like I did the sitz bath and all that. And then, but how can you keep it dry down there? there's no way to keep it totally dry.
I had like Tux pads. And so, I mistakenly thought I was good to go after like 4 days. I was like, I don't need to use these anymore. Disagree, because I guess a stitch like was like forming to my skin or something, or my skin was forming around so without it being, so it kind of stuck to my skin, and so when I would sit down it would pull my skin, and it was so painful, so I had to go back to using those.
I would say let yourself heal as for as long as you need to.
I use from that point on, I use those things until I think my 6-week checkup.
Wow.
Like, yep, everything's good. I'm like, okay, I can stop using these Tux pads. Thank God. Yeah. So that's my, I had it was pretty easy, truthfully. One thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had the same thing. So I'm a pretty modest person for the most part. I will burp anytime, like anywhere, like that's not anything for me, and I'll pee in front of anyone. I don't care. But I don't fart in front of people. I just don't do it. That's not my thing.
No, that's not my thing either. No.
When you have an epidural, you can't help it. Did you have the same problem?
Again, like I don't remember that, but that totally makes sense.
Yeah, no. Like I could feel it coming on. I would try to squeeze. It just wasn't happening.
Yeah. Well,
and I was like, sorry.
Understandable. Well, that's like everybody says, once you've had a baby, you're kind of like, whatevs. I mean, you're still modest, but it's kind of like, you know what? I've been through the ringer. I made a person.
I got to the point where I would be like, that's me.
I did it.
Because it was so embarrassing. And like, Brad and I have been together for years, and probably the only time I've farted in front of him was when he had to bring me to the bathroom when I broke my ankle, and I was like,
you're in
drugs, and he had to bring me to the bathroom. And so I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed. And then this time, like, it was just like, there was no holding back.
Yeah.
Like, I just couldn't.
It just made you that much closer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got another birth story from Shirley on our Facebook page, I Can't Mom Today at Facebook.com. Shirley says that she went to the doctor for her first child, and he sent me home to get my things and then report to the hospital for induction. I called my parents and told them I was going to the hospital. I went to my parents' house because they were going to drive my husband and me to the hospital. As we were standing outside talking with their neighbor, my mom asked if I told Dad I was not in labor. Well, I had not. Almost instantly, my dad rounded the corner from the highway onto their street, pulled into the garage, and parked his truck. It was such an abrupt stop that the car was rocking. I can see it, like.
Yeah.
Well, during labor, the baby moved and the heart monitor lost her heartbeat. At the time, my not much older than me uncle was keeping me company. When the alarm went off, he got up from his chair and said he was going to get my mom. I can't remember a time before or after that he moved that quickly. Then he decided to send me a singing telegram. It was to be delivered by a belly dancer. The last thing a new mother wants to see is a flat-bellied belly dancer. Lucky for him, I was discharged from the hospital before she arrived.
Yeah.
Could you imagine a belly dancer and you're in your hospital room after you just had a baby?
No, especially, because like you still look 6 months pregnant.
Exactly. That was one of the things I was disappointed by too, that my body didn't just all of a sudden go right after.
Oh, I looked at pictures and I was like, oh my God.
I know. And you still have to wear your maternity clothes. And
yeah.
So, and then Shirley goes on to talk about her second child that she had. She says, I was induced again. I knew the drill. Don't admit to having eaten anything the day of your appointment, so you can go directly to the hospital for induction. It worked with the first child, but not the second. Here's how the conversation went. Doctor, you're sufficiently dilated. When would you like to be induced? Me. No, was that a serious question? Doctor, not tonight. Football's on tonight. At the hospital the next morning, they started the drip. A couple of hours, no contractions. The baby moved and made the monitor needle move as though labor had started. I felt her move and tried to explain what happened. The nurse wasn't hearing it. She was sure it was a contraction. Later, my husband walked to the side of the bed that had the drip and found a puddle. The drip was going on the floor.
Oh my God.
So she wasn't even getting the drip after all that time.
Of course.
So yeah. So again, like don't expect things to be seamless when you have your child.
Yes. And keep speaking up.
Yeah, speak up for yourself and your baby. Don't be afraid to be like, this feels weird, or is this wrong, or, this hurts, or whatever.
Yes. If you have any more questions about birth stories or anything, really, you can hit us up. We're not experts, but we will give you our experience, and you can go from there and at least give you a little bit more information. You can hit us up at I Can't Mom Today podcast at gmail.com, on Facebook, I Can't Mom Today, or on Instagram at I Can't Mom Today podcast. We love hearing from you guys. So if you have an idea for a podcast, or you want to have some stories that we can read on our podcast, we would love it. Maybe even be a guest one day.
That would be cool too. I mean, we don't discriminate.
No, definitely not.
So yes, definitely. Or anything that you want to hear about too, or want to share, we're here for you.
Yeah. All right. Have a great day.
Thank you guys.
Bye.